everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I have an upcoming track day and I'll be taking the Nissan GTR. Now the reason for that is because this track day is at AMP here in Arizona, and that is one of those tracks where it does have a sound restriction. So unfortunately none of my cars pass because they're way too loud. So that's why I'll be driving the Nissan GTR there, and I'm so excited for that. But now in order to get ready for this track day, I do need to take care of a few maintenance things on it. So in this video we'll be doing an oil change, drain and fill the differentials because this car does have two, and also the transmission. I know some of you may be wondering what I'll be using today, and of course it's no other than AMSOIL. It's no surprise there. Now before I do get started speaking about all these products that I'll be using in today's video, I did want to mention that St. Pedro Synthetics did provide me all of these because not only are they a sponsor for the GT350 and the Camaro Z Elite, they're also a sponsor for the Nissan GTR. And I know some of you have reached out to me because you guys wanted to know if St. Pedro Synthetics did offer a discount code. If you're interested in purchasing any AMSOIL product, then please email them at support@stpedrosynthetics.com. I'll have that email address here up on the screen, and then just let them know whatever it is that you want to purchase and they will hook you up. So just wanted to let you guys know that. But now getting started, we'll start off with the differential fluid. So here I have three. I actually have the fourth one here on the box, but we won't be needing that. We'll be using two. So I'll be mixing this with the severe gear fluid. For the rear differential, I'll mix in about 2 ounces, and then for the front differential, about 1 ounce. Now the good thing about this, if you guys watched my Camaro video when I was doing the maintenance with the transmission and differential fluid change, you guys do remember my little pinky method for measuring. I know some of you were laughing. So I won't be doing that today. That's the good thing. In order to measure this, it's very simple. We'll just fill it up. Once it starts leaking, then we know it's already filled up all the way. And the best part about this packaging is that we don't need to pump this. So this should be a lot easier. This should be a lot faster because I know it was kind of like hurting my hands just to keep it up there and just keep pumping. So this should just flow a lot better than last time. So I really do like that. Now moving on to this box, we have our oil. I have 7 quarts here. Here's the extra one, but this engine does take 6. Although we won't be putting in exactly 6, we'll be putting in a little bit less than that because the manual does state that if you do track your car, then you might want to put a little bit less than 6 quarts. I'll show you that once it's time to fill. And of course, this is the AMSOIL Synthetic 040, and we have our oil filter right here towards the back as well. Here we have the transmission fluid, and of course this is the AMSOIL for DCT. Now here in this box I do have 11 quarts, but this transmission does take 10, so it all depends on what you'll be doing. So it all depends if you remove the transmission pan and the transmission filter. If you do, then it'll probably be closer to 10 quarts, but generally it varies from like 7 to 10 quarts. In this case today, I will not be removing the transmission pan and I will not be removing the transmission filter, so it'll probably be towards the lower end, like around maybe 7 quarts. But the good thing about this is, unlike the Camaro, I don't have to use a little pinky method. It's very simple. Just fill it up, and then once it starts leaking, then you know that you filled it up to capacity, and then that's it. So since we'll be taking care of all 3 fluids today on the Nissan GTR, I thought I might as well start and drain all 3 of them. So let's go under the car so I can show you exactly what needs to be removed in order to have access. So starting here at the rear, we do need to remove this rear diffuser as well as this panel. So removing both of these will give us access to the rear differential as well as the transmission. And then moving here towards the front, we do need to remove this middle panel right here. So let me just move a little bit back so you guys can see it's the middle one. So removing this will give us access to drain the oil as well as the front differential. So there's lots of bolts, lots of clips, lots of panels. So let's go ahead and get started. So now that we removed all of the panels, now before we start draining, I did want to show you where everything's located. I do want to show you this because I know you guys are going to ask. You saw this drop as soon as I removed that panel. So no, this is not normal for a GTR. Maybe if you have this exhaust, but this is for the Army Tricks exhaust. This is the vacuum line. So this pretty much controls what's opening and closing the valves. So that's what that is. Now moving on here. So here is the rear differential, and then here is the drain plug, and then the fill plug is right up there. So now moving on to the transmission, here's the drain plug, and then the fill plug is here. I'm not really sure if you guys can see it. Right there, which actually reminds me that I forgot to remove this heat shield. And then that actually brings me here to this panel. So you guys that saw me remove these bolts, there was like 3 bolts here along this panel. So I'm not really sure why I did that. You're not supposed to remove this panel. I just got like unbolting happy. Removing this panel right here, and then I was like, okay, maybe this is part of it, but no, I just wasted time. So you know, no need to remove this panel. Now moving on here towards the front. So here we have the oil pan. Here's the drain plug. And then here is the front differential. So there's the drain plug, and then the fill plug, that one is hard to see as well. So it's above these oil cooler lines. I'm not sure if you guys can see it from this angle. That is it. Now I'm pretty sure that this is actually going to be a little bit of a pain to fill it up with this, because I'm not really sure how this packaging is going to work and actually to fill it up. So I don't know, we'll see. I know this is going to be really easy for the rear differential to fill it up. The only thing that I'm not looking forward to is actually for all of this transmission fluid, because you have to pump this, and this is the one that has the most fluid. But either way, we need to take care of this. So let's get back to it. Let's start draining everything, and then let's go ahead and fill up. Just finished draining everything. So we've drained the oil, we drained the front differential. Now moving on here, we drained the transmission as well as the rear differential. Now getting back to this transmission, I'm not sure if you guys saw that once I removed the drain plug, I was kind of freaking out of it just because nothing came out, and I thought that is just impossible. Driving this car, something would have been happened. So I went back to my phone, and it turns out that there's this little straw inside that you also need to remove. So I'm not sure if you guys can see how you have to remove this as well. And this is also the next thing that I was referring to in regards to just filling this up, that you don't have to rely on the pinky method, because this is how it works. So once the fluid reaches all the way up here, then the excess starts going through the middle, and it'll just overflow, and then it'll just start dripping down, and then that's how you know, okay, it's already filled to capacity. So I just thought that was pretty cool, and I showed you guys. So now let's get back to pouring these fluids back in. So we'll start off with the rear differential, then we'll move on to the transmission. Now this one is going to be a bit of a pain because we do need to pump this, and obviously it takes way more quarts than the differential, so that's going to be fun. Then we'll make our way here to the front, and then we'll finish off here with the front differential. And then now, before we get started on that, I actually wanted to mention this to you guys. So I already went ahead and mixed the slip lock with the severe gear, so both for the front and for the rear, so we're good to go on that. So now let's get back to refilling all of these fluids. I won't be putting those panels back on because there is a procedure that we do need to follow, so to make sure that everything's filled up accordingly. So after that, then I'll just drop the car and I'll see you guys when it's on the floor. I just finished with the front diff, so this ended up taking 1 1/4, and the rear diff ended up taking 1.5 quarts. I know that's a little bit more than what I had said in the beginning, but that's just the amount it took in order for the fluids to start dripping. So just thought I should let you guys know that. Now there is something that I do want to show you, because it's a question that so many of you ask me in so many of my videos, and that is, how do I manage to stay so clean, and how does my workspace manage to stay so clean? So the truth is, I just constantly stay cleaning up after myself, but what you guys don't see is the floor. So I just thought I would show you guys. So this is kind of like a little behind the scenes of my mess here, of everything that I throw here on the floor. So if you can see here, I have, maybe I would call it like an organized mess. So I have tons of gloves. I go through so many gloves. I'm constantly changing them all the time, just because they either get greasy, they get dirty, and I do have to stay moving the other camera, and I do have to pick up this camera to speak to you guys, so I just always change gloves. And I also did run out of shop towels, so I did have to start just using regular paper towels. But this is it. This is my mess. And then if we move here, we have a little bit more. Oh, and by the way, the transmission did end up taking 7 quarts, so it was around what I had estimated on the lower end, and that's just because I didn't remove the transmission pan or the transmission filter. So if we would have done that, it would have probably been at the higher end, like around 10. But I just thought I'd let you guys know this. I thought I'd show you guys what the floor looks like when I'm working on my cars, just because I know that so many of you are curious about this. Just finished pouring the oil inside the GTR, and it ended up taking 5 quarts and about 2/3 of the remaining quart. This is the 6th one, and you can see there's about 1/3 of oil left in this one. And I also ended up filling it up to this little line right here on the dipstick. So that line, the little marker right there, I did create this the first time ever that I did an oil change on this GTR, because the manual does state that if you're going to be doing any high performance driving, so whether that be at the drag, at the road course, then they do recommend that you mark it and you fill it up to there each time. So that's exactly what we did. Now we're on to our last step of this whole procedure, which is turning on the car. That's exactly why the GTR is on these quick jacks. So it's pretty much just turning it on, putting it in gear, letting these wheels rotate, but I might as well just go inside and explain to you guys more. So now that we're inside, we're going to turn on the car. Now we're going to turn traction control off, so you can see it off now on the dash. Now we're going to hold the brake, put it in neutral, and then put it in manual. So now that it's in first gear, we are going to accelerate it all the way to 2000 RPMs slowly, and then hold it there for about 5 seconds. Then upshift to second gear. Then once again to 2000 RPMs, hold it there for about 5 seconds. Then slowly let go of the accelerator. Then downshift to first gear. Then hold the brake, put it in neutral, and then put it in park, and now you can turn off the car. So now I showed you guys the process. You need to do that about 2 to 3 times. So now that I showed you the first time, it's time to go under the car, under the transmission, remove the drain plug, let any excess fluid out, and then just wait until it's about 1 drop per second. Then after that, you're going to get back in the car, turn it on. Then this time you're just going to let the transmission warm up to about 122 degrees. Then back again under the car, under the transmission, remove the drain plug, let any excess fluid out, and then you should be done. But I won't be doing that on camera, because as you can see, it's going to get pretty repetitive, and especially because you do need to wait about 25 minutes in between each time you do this. So that'll just turn out to being a really long video, but I will be taking care of this off camera. Well, I only thought a little bit of fluid was going to come out, but no, that's not the case. So I didn't end up putting anything under it. So this is how much fluid has come out, and this is after the second time once I warmed up the transmission to 122 degrees. Yep, so this is why it's very important to follow these steps, and I guess I'll just stay here waiting until it's a 1 drop per second. So with that being said, that's it for this video. I know that this maintenance for the fluids was just completely different from the Camaro, but I guess that's just what you get when you have a complicated all-wheel drive system with the GTR. It's just night and day, guys. I know. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.